I used to believe that life-shattering moments announce themselves with dramatic flair, thunder, lightning, maybe even an ominous phone call at midnight. Instead, mine came on a perfectly ordinary Tuesday afternoon, announced by 3 quiet knocks on my front door. My name is Chelsea, and until that moment, I thought I had the whole happiness thing figured out. 10 years of marriage to Morgan, a beautiful house in the suburbs, and a career in corporate communications that actually made me proud. You know that friend everyone has who seems to have their life together? That was me. Or so I thought. I opened the door to find Sarah, my best friend since college, standing there with an envelope clutched to her chest. Something was off. Sarah's usually bright eyes wouldn't meet mine, and her shoulders were tense. "Can I come in?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Of course. I stepped aside, noting how she hesitated before walking past me. "Want some wine? I just opened a bottle." She shook her head. "You might want to sit down for this." We moved to my kitchen island, the one Morgan and I had picked out together last spring. Sarah placed the envelope between us like it was a live grenade. "Before I show you this," she started, "I need you to know that I love you, and that's why I'm here." My stomach dropped. "Sarah, you're scaring me. Remember those anonymous texts you got last month? Warning you about Morgan?" She took a deep breath. "That was me." I laughed, but it came out hollow. "What are you talking about? Those were just spam or something." Sarah slid the envelope toward me. I wish they were. With trembling fingers, I opened it. The first photo showed Morgan entering a hotel, his arm around a woman with long dark hair. The timestamp read 3 weeks ago, when he was supposedly in Seattle for work. "Keep going," Sarah urged gently. More photos followed. Morgan and the woman, who I now recognized as Jade from his office, having dinner, sharing intimate moments, entering different hotels. Then came the screenshots, text messages, hotel receipts, flight bookings that didn't match his supposed business trips. "How?" My voice cracked. "How did you get these?" "A colleague of mine saw them at the Grand last month. He recognized Morgan from our holiday party." Sarah reached for my hand. "I couldn't just tell you without proof. You wouldn't have believed me." I stared at the last photo, something catching my eye in the background. A familiar face, but I couldn't quite place it. "There's more," Sarah continued. "These aren't just hookups, Chelsea. I think there's something bigger going on. Look at this message." She pulled out her phone and showed me a text conversation she'd intercepted. "Once the transfer is complete, we'll have everything in place. C won't see it coming." C, me. They were talking about me. "How long?" I asked, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. "From what I've gathered, at least a year." A year. 365 days of lies, of kisses that meant nothing, of "I love yous" that were just empty air. "Chelsea?" Sarah's voice was gentle. "Say something." I looked up at my best friend, the one person who cared enough to uncover the truth, and felt something shift inside me. Not just pain or betrayal, but something darker, something that wanted more than just answers. "Show me everything you have," I said. "Don't leave anything out." Sarah nodded, pulling out her laptop. As she opened it, I caught my reflection in the kitchen window. I expected to see devastation on my face, but instead, I saw something else. Determination. "Oh, and Chelsea?" Sarah paused, her finger hovering over the keyboard. "That man in the background of the last photo? That's Nathan." "Nathan?" My heart stopped. "Morgan's brother." "The same one Morgan hasn't spoken to since their father died." Sarah met my eyes. "And I think he might know even more than I do." I picked up the wine bottle and poured 2 generous glasses. Something told me we were going to need them. Because this wasn't just about an affair anymore. This was about to become something much, much bigger. Sleep never came that night. I watched the sunrise from my kitchen, surrounded by Sarah's evidence spread across the counter like a twisted photo album of my husband's betrayal. The coffee maker hummed to life just as Sarah's car pulled into my driveway, right on time as promised. "You look like hell," she said, dropping her bag on the counter. Thanks. I've been up all night connecting dots. I pushed a coffee mug toward her. Now tell me everything. From the beginning. Sarah wrapped her hands around the mug. It started 3 months ago. My colleague, Mike, called me after spotting Morgan and Jade at the Grand. He thought it was weird because Morgan was practically shoving her into the elevator. Shoving her? Like they were arguing about something. Sarah pulled out her phone. That's when I started digging. I'm sorry, but I hacked your shared cloud account. You what? Remember when you asked me to help set up your new phone? I kept the access. She at least had the decency to look guilty. That's how I found the first batch of messages between them. I leaned forward. Show me. Sarah pulled up screenshots of conversations that made my stomach turn. Not just because of their intimacy, but because of what they revealed. Morgan and Jade weren't just having an affair. They were planning something. Look at this one. Sarah pointed to a message from 2 weeks ago. Jade writes, "Once the paperwork goes through, we'll have full control of the assets. N won't be able to touch them." N? Nathan. I remembered the photo. Sarah, how did you get access to their private messages? She shifted uncomfortably. I might have hired someone. A guy who specializes in digital forensics. Jesus, Sarah. I know, but look what he found. She pulled up more documents. Morgan's been moving money around. Big amounts. And guess where some of it's going? Where? Offshore accounts, including ones linked to your joint assets. My coffee cup hit the counter with a sharp crack. He's stealing from me. Not yet, but he's laying the groundwork. Sarah hesitated. There's something else. Nathan. He's not just accidentally in that photo. He works security at the Grand now. What? Morgan said Nathan moved to Chicago after their father died. Another lie. Sarah pulled up a recent photo of Nathan. He's been here the whole time, watching Morgan's little romance play out from the security desk. I talked to him yesterday. My head snapped up. You what? He wants to meet you. Says he has information about why Morgan really cut him out of the family business. Sarah reached across the counter and grabbed my hand. Chelsea, this goes deeper than just Jade. Nathan says it connects back to their father's death. I stood up, pacing the kitchen. This is insane, just insane. I stopped at the window, watching a neighbour walk their dog. Such a normal scene on such an abnormal morning. There's one more thing, Sarah said quietly. Morgan's planning another business trip next week to the Cayman Islands. How do you know? Because Jade booked 2 tickets. Sarah pulled up the reservation. And she's been researching engagement rings. The room started spinning. I gripped the counter to steady myself. Chelsea? Sarah's voice seemed far away. What do you want to do? I turned to face her, something cold and hard settling in my chest. First, I want to meet Nathan. Then, I picked up the photo of Morgan and Jade together. I want to destroy them both. Sarah nodded slowly. I'll set up the meeting with Nathan, but Chelsea... She stood up and walked over to me. Are you sure you're ready for this? Once we start, there's no going back. I looked at my reflection in the window again, remembering all the times Morgan had kissed me goodbye while messaging her, all the lies, all the plans they'd made behind my back. Morgan thinks he's so clever, I said, my voice steady. He thinks he can just erase me, replace me, take everything we built together. I turned to Sarah, but he forgot one thing. What's that? I'm the one who handles all our crisis communications at work. I know exactly how to make or break someone's reputation. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Call Nathan. It's time I learned the truth about the Turner family. Sarah pulled out her phone, and as she dialed, I felt the last pieces of my old life crumbling away. Good. Let them fall. I was ready to build something new from the ashes, starting with Morgan's downfall. Have a great trip, honey. I kissed Morgan goodbye, tasting bile in my mouth as I did. Call me when you land? Of course, babe. He smiled that perfect smile of his, the one that used to make my heart flutter, but now made my skin crawl. It's just a quick business trip. 3 days, tops. I watched him wheel his suitcase to the car, knowing Jade would be meeting him at the airport. The same airport where I'd be meeting his brother in exactly 2 hours. The cafe Nathan chose was quiet, tucked away in a corner of the terminal where Morgan and Jade wouldn't venture. I spotted him immediately. He had the same strong jaw as Morgan, but his eyes were kinder. "Chelsea," he stood as I approached. "Thank you for coming. Save the pleasantries, Nathan. Tell me what you know." He gestured for me to sit. "Remember when Dad died?" The official story was heart failure. Morgan said the stress of running the company was too much. That's the thing. Nathan leaned forward. Dad wasn't stressed. He was excited. He'd just discovered something in the company books that made him furious. A waitress appeared. I ordered black coffee. Nathan waited until she left before continuing. "The day before he died, Dad called me, said he needed to show me something important about Morgan's dealings with overseas accounts." Nathan's hands tightened around his cup. I was supposed to meet him the next morning. Instead, I got a call about his death. "Are you suggesting—" "I'm not suggesting anything. I'm telling you, Morgan knew Dad was about to expose him. Within 24 hours of Dad's death, Morgan had pushed through paperwork removing me from the company and the will." My coffee arrived. I didn't touch it. "Why didn't you fight it?" "I tried, but Morgan had everything locked down tight. Even Dad's personal files disappeared." Nathan pulled out his phone. "But working security at the Grand has its advantages. Watch this." He played a video from a security camera. Morgan and Jade in a hotel corridor, arguing intensely. "Turn up the volume," I whispered. "Can't keep stalling," Jade was saying. "Either you leave her and make this official, or I go public with everything I know about the company transfers." Morgan grabbed her arm. "Don't threaten me. You're in this just as deep as I am." "Am I? Because I'm not the one who doctored those documents after your father died." I felt the blood drain from my face. "When was this?" 2 days ago." Nathan stopped the video. "I've been collecting evidence for months, but I needed someone on the inside. Someone Morgan trusts completely." "Me." "You," he nodded. "But there's a problem. Morgan's getting suspicious. He's already moved most of his assets offshore, and I think he's planning something big." "The Cayman Islands trip," I said. "He's leaving today." Nathan's eyes widened. "Then we don't have much time. Chelsea, I need access to his home office. There's a safe behind the painting of the lighthouse. I know the one, but I don't have the combination." "You don't need it." He slid a small device across the table. "This will handle that. Just get me in." I stared at the device, remembering all those nights Morgan spent in his office, all those times he shooed me away when I brought him dinner, all those lies. "When?" I asked. "Tonight, while he's in the air." Nathan checked his watch. "Morgan's flight leaves in an hour. I can be at your house by 8. I'll disable the security system." I stood up, then paused. "Nathan, why are you really helping me? This isn't just about the company, is it?" He was quiet for a moment. "Dad wasn't just going to expose Morgan's fraud. He was going to make things right, put me back in charge of the family business." His eyes met mine. "Morgan didn't just steal my inheritance, Chelsea. He stole my chance to make Dad proud." I nodded, understanding perfectly. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about justice. 8 o'clock, I confirmed. "Don't be late." As I walked away, my phone buzzed. A text from Morgan. "Just boarding. Love you." I typed back, "Safe flight," with steady fingers, already planning which bottles of wine would pair best with breaking into a safe and destroying my husband's carefully constructed world of lies. Sometimes the best revenge is served with a good Cabernet. "Ms. Chelsea?" Brooke, the new intern, hovered at my office door. "I have those files you requested." I ushered her in quickly, closing the door behind her. At 29, Brooke was hardly a typical intern, but her previous career in data analysis made her perfect for what I needed. "Show me," I said. She spread printouts across my desk. "Morgan's been busy. In the past 6 months, he's authorized transfers to 3 different shell companies. all technically legal, but she pointed to a series of numbers. The pattern matches classic money laundering. And Jade? Her fingerprints are all over it. She's been promoted twice in 8 months, each time gaining more access to the financial systems. Brooke lowered her voice. But here's the weird part. She's been copying documents after hours. Lots of them. I leaned back. Insurance, probably. In case Morgan tries to pin everything on her. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Blog post is live, check it now. I pulled up the industry gossip site she'd mentioned. There it was, a blind item about a prominent tech executive spotted with his ambitious junior colleague at various hotels. Comments were already flowing in, speculating about identities. There's something else, Brooke said, sliding one more document across the desk. HR received an anonymous complaint about Morgan last week. Sexual harassment allegations. From Jade? No, from someone else. Brooke tapped the paper. 3 someone else's, actually, all within the past year. My phone rang. Isaiah, my lawyer friend. Chelsea, he said when I answered. The temporary freeze on your joint accounts is ready. Just say when. Not yet. I glanced at Brooke. Give me 24 hours. After hanging up, I opened my drawer to grab a pen. That's when I saw it. A cream-coloured envelope I didn't recognise. Inside was a legal document with Morgan's signature at the bottom. My hands shook as I read it. It was a revision to his will, completely removing me as a beneficiary. The date? 2 weeks ago. Ms. Chelsea? Brooke's voice snapped me back. There's one more thing. The company's planning a leadership retreat next month. Morgan's giving the keynote presentation. With Jade? Yes. They're co-presenting on strategic partnerships in the digital age. Brooke rolled her eyes. But here's the interesting part. I have access to their presentation files. They're stored on the shared drive. A plan started forming in my mind. Brooke, how good are you with PowerPoint? Very good. Why? Because I need you to make a copy of their presentation. We might need to make some adjustments. My phone buzzed again. Nathan this time. Found something in the safe. Meet me at the Grand now. Brooke, compile everything you have. And I mean everything. I'll be back in an hour. The Grand's lobby was quiet when I arrived. Nathan led me to a secluded corner, pulling out a small USB drive. Security footage from Dad's office, the day he died. His voice was tight. Morgan deleted the original, but Dad kept backups. This was in the safe. Have you watched it? Yes. He looked sick. Dad confronts Morgan about the offshore accounts. Morgan leaves. 2 hours later, Dad has a heart attack. That doesn't prove. Watch it yourself. He pressed the drive into my hand. Pay attention to what Dad drinks after Morgan leaves. My phone buzzed yet again. A message from an unknown number. Engagement ring purchased, proposing during the retreat keynote. I showed Nathan the message. The retreat, he said slowly. That's perfect. Everyone who matters will be there, including the board members Morgan's been lying to. And the HR department that buried those harassment claims. I gripped the USB drive tighter. Nathan, I need access to every security camera in that hotel during the retreat. Already arranged. He smiled grimly. Morgan's not the only one who knows how to plan ahead. Walking back to my office, I felt strangely calm. Morgan thought he was orchestrating the perfect proposal to his perfect mistress at the perfect moment. Instead, he was walking right into my trap. My phone lit up one more time. Morgan. Missing you already. Can't wait to come home with big news. I smiled at the message, thinking about the news I had for him. Some people plan proposals, others plan executions, and I was done playing the loving wife. Gianna's perfectly manicured nails clinked against the teacup as she set it down. My mother-in-law had always been the picture of elegance, even now, as I prepared to shatter her illusions about her precious son. More tea? I offered, keeping my voice steady. Please. She studied me with those ice-blue eyes. Now, dear, what's this urgent matter you needed to discuss? I poured her tea, then slid my phone across the table. The photos of Morgan and Jade glowed on the screen. Gianna didn't even flinch. She simply picked up her cup again and took another sip. "You're not surprised," I said, my voice flat. "Should I be?" She set the cup down with precision. "Morgan is his father's son, after all." "What does that mean?" "It means, my dear, that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree." She reached for her handbag. Richard, Morgan's father, had his own jade. Several of them, actually. My hands trembled as I poured more tea. "Did you know about Morgan and Jade?" "I suspected. The signs were familiar." She pulled out an envelope from her bag. "Just like I suspected. What really happened to Richard?" "What do you mean?" "These are letters I found in Richard's study after his death. Letters Morgan doesn't know exist." She slid them across the table. "Read them." The papers were old, but the words were clear. Correspondence between Richard and his lawyer about changing his will, about evidence of Morgan's financial misconduct, about plans to reinstate Nathan as primary heir. "The day before Richard died," Gianna continued, "he told me he was going to expose Morgan's schemes. He never got the chance." "The security footage," I whispered. "Nathan found it in Morgan's safe. Did you know about that too?" "I knew Richard kept cameras in his office." She smiled thinly. "I also knew about the special tea Morgan brought him that day." My blood ran cold. "Tea?" "Morgan's father had a very particular heart condition. Certain substances could trigger an attack." Gianna's eyes met mine. "The autopsy never looked for those substances. Morgan made sure of that." "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because, my dear, you're about to do what I never had the courage to do." She reached across the table and gripped my hand. "You're going to bring him down." "You want me to destroy your son?" "I want justice for Richard, for Nathan, and yes, for you." She pulled another envelope from her bag. "These are bank statements showing exactly how Morgan manipulated his father's accounts. Use them." I stared at her. This elegant woman who'd watched her son's crimes in silence for years. "What's your price?" "Make it public," she said immediately. "All of it. The affairs, the fraud, the manipulation. I want the world to see exactly who Morgan is." "Why?" "Because that's what Richard wanted. He was going to expose everything at the shareholders' meeting." Her voice hardened. "Morgan killed him to prevent that. Now, it's time to finish what Richard started." My phone buzzed. A message from Sarah. More photos just surfaced. Morgan and Jade getting cozy in the Caymans. I showed Gianna the message. She nodded approvingly. "The retreat is in 2 weeks," I said. "Morgan's planning to propose to Jade during his keynote speech." "How theatrical!" Gianna's lip curled. "And perfect. What better time to reveal the truth?" "You'll lose everything," I warned. "Your social standing, your reputation." "My dear," she laughed softly, "I lost those things the day I chose to stay silent about Richard's death. This is my redemption as much as your revenge." She stood, smoothing her designer dress. "One more thing, Chelsea. In my experience, the most devastating blows are the ones they never see coming." "What do you mean?" "Morgan expects you to be emotional, to cause a scene. Don't." She smiled, and for the first time I saw steel behind the elegance. "Be calm. Be collected. Be everything he thinks you're not." As she walked to the door, she paused. "Oh, and Chelsea? Make sure you record everything. Some lessons need to be shared." I watched her leave, the envelopes heavy in my hands. Morgan had inherited his father's worst traits, but he'd forgotten one crucial detail. He'd also inherited his enemies, and we were all done keeping secrets. "Run it again," I told Brooke, watching the presentation slides flip by. "I want to make sure the timing is perfect." She clicked through the sequence one more time. Morgan and Jade's original slides about strategic partnerships played for exactly 2 minutes before glitching into our carefully curated evidence. Hotel receipts, bank transfers, and those damning text messages. "The transition is seamless," Brooke assured me. "They won't know what hit them until it's too late." Sarah burst into my office, laptop in hand. "We have a problem. Morgan just posted on LinkedIn about the keynote. He's calling it a game-changing presentation that will reshape the company's future." Oh, it'll be game-changing, all right, I muttered. What else? Nathan got the hotel security schedule. Jade's booked the penthouse suite for preparation meetings the night before. I smiled. Perfect. Is the camera set up? Hidden in the air vent, Sarah confirmed. We'll catch everything. My phone rang. Isaiah. Chelsea, the board members confirmed. All 9 will attend the keynote. Including the audit committee? Especially them. They're interested in Morgan's innovative financial strategies. I could hear Isaiah's smirk. They'll get more than they bargained for. Brooke raised her hand like she was still in school. Miss Chelsea, HR just sent out the final attendance list. 300 people, including press. Press? Sarah's eyes widened. That's new. Morgan invited them, I said. He wants witnesses for his big proposal. Isn't that thoughtful of him? My phone buzzed with a text from Gianna. Wearing red tomorrow. Make sure you do too. It's time they saw us as a united front. Another message popped up, this one from Morgan. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, babe. Wearing my lucky blue tie. Sarah, I called out. Change the background colour on slide 23 to blue. Let's match his tie when we show those hotel receipts. You're evil, she grinned, making the adjustment. Nathan appeared in my doorway, looking nervous. Security's in position. But Chelsea, Morgan just got an anonymous text. What text? He held up his phone, showing me a screenshot, a photo of Gianna standing next to me at the tea shop. He's panicking, Nathan said. Called me 3 times already. Good. I stood up, straightening my jacket. Let him panic. Everyone clear on their positions for tomorrow? They nodded. We'd rehearsed this a dozen times. Sarah would manage the tech booth. Brooke would keep HR distracted until the right moment. Nathan would monitor security feeds. Isaiah would stand ready with the legal documents. Remember, I told them, timing is everything. Morgan needs to be mid-proposal when the slides change. Maximum impact. What if he suspects something? Brooke asked quietly. He suspects everything and everyone right now, I replied. That's why he'll stick to the plan. He can't show weakness in front of the board. My phone lit up again, Jade this time, to my private email. We need to talk, now. Well, Sarah peered at my screen. Looks like someone's getting cold feet. No, I said, reading the email. She wants to make a deal. She thinks she can bargain her way out. Are you going to meet her? I deleted the email. She had her chance to come clean. Tomorrow she learns what loyalty really means. Everyone filed out, leaving final preparations for the morning. I stood at my office window, watching the sun set over the city. Tomorrow Morgan would walk onto that stage, thinking he was about to cement his future with Jade. Instead, he'd watch his carefully constructed world crumble in front of everyone who mattered. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown number. You're making a mistake. Some secrets should stay buried. I showed it to Sarah, who was gathering her things. Think it's Morgan? She asked. No, I replied, deleting the message. Morgan still believes he's untouchable. This is someone else. Someone who knows what really happened to his father. Should we be worried? I thought about Gianna's words. The most devastating blows are the ones they never see coming. No, I said firmly. Let them send their threats. Tomorrow, everyone will know the truth. All of it? Sarah raised an eyebrow. I picked up my red dress for tomorrow, already pressed and ready. Every last dirty detail. Because some secrets don't deserve to stay buried. Some secrets need to be screamed from the rooftops. And tomorrow, I plan to do exactly that. The conference room hummed with anticipation. 300 people, all dressed in their corporate best, waiting for Morgan's game-changing presentation. I sat in the front row beside Gianna, both of us in matching red dresses that stood out like warning signs among the sea of navy suits. Nervous? Gianna whispered. Not anymore. Morgan strode onto the stage, looking confident in his lucky blue tie. Jade followed, wearing a cream-coloured dress that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. They looked perfect together. Too perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, Morgan began, flashing that $1 million smile. Today isn't just about business strategies. My phone vibrated. Security feeds active. Cameras rolling. Nathan Morgan clicked to the first slide. In today's digital age, partnerships are everything. I watched Jade's face as she stood beside him. She was scanning the crowd, probably looking for me. Our eyes met briefly, and I saw a flash of fear cross her face. Success isn't just about innovation, Morgan continued, moving through their carefully rehearsed presentation. It's about trust. Sarah's text came right on cue. Ready when you are. I gave a slight nod, knowing she could see me from the tech booth. Morgan reached the halfway point of his presentation, right on schedule. And speaking of trust, he turned to Jade, reaching into his pocket. There's something I'd like to share with everyone. The screen behind them flickered. Morgan frowned at the technical glitch. Then his face went white as the first photo appeared. Him and Jade entering the Grand. What's happening? Jade stepped back, her voice shrill. More images filled the screen. Bank statements, text messages, hotel receipts. The audience began to murmur. If we could just... Morgan fumbled with the clicker, but nothing changed. Then came the security footage from his father's office. Richard accepting the tea. Morgan leaving. Richard clutching his chest. Turn it off, Morgan shouted. But no one moved. The final slide appeared. A simple spreadsheet showing years of fraudulent transactions, with a single sentence beneath. Like father? Like son? Chaos erupted. Board members stood up, pointing and shouting. Reporters started snapping photos. Jade stumbled backward, her face ashen. I rose slowly, Gianna beside me. Nathan appeared at my other side, and Sarah emerged from the tech booth. You... Morgan pointed at me, his hand shaking. You did this. No, Morgan. My voice carried across the now silent room. You did this. Every lie, every betrayal, every manipulation. That was all you. Jade suddenly lunged forward, her hand connecting with Morgan's face in a sharp slap. You said no one would find out. You promised me protection. Security, Morgan shouted, but Nathan just smiled and folded his arms. Oh, you mean the security team that works for me now? Nathan's voice was calm. They're a bit busy handling the police officers who just arrived to discuss Dad's case. The doors burst open as if on cue. 2 detectives entered, followed by Isaiah holding a thick folder of documents. Morgan, one detective called out, we need to ask you some questions about Richard Turner's death. This is ridiculous. Morgan's face had turned red. Chelsea, you've ruined everything. You've become a monster. I walked toward the stage, my heels clicking in the silent room. No, Morgan, I just finally saw the monster I married. Jade tried to run, but Sarah blocked her path. Going somewhere. HR would love to discuss those harassment complaints you helped bury. I turned to face the crowd, channeling every crisis communication skill I'd ever learned. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the disruption. But I believe in transparency, especially when it comes to the people we trust with our company's future. The board members were nodding. The reporters were scribbling frantically. You'll regret this, Morgan snarled as the detectives approached him. All of you. The only regret, Gianna's voice rang out, is that your father isn't here to see justice finally served. I watched as they led Morgan away, Jade being escorted separately by HR. The engagement ring box fell from his pocket, spinning across the stage like a forgotten prop in a tragedy. Ms. Chelsea? Brooke appeared at my side. The board wants to speak with you. Something about an emergency leadership meeting. I smiled, picking up Morgan's fallen clicker. Of course. After all, someone needs to finish this presentation. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth. It's taking everything they thought you never could. The divorce papers sat on my dining room table, right next to our wedding photo. Outside, reporters still camped on my lawn, hungry for more details about the tech executive murder investigation that had exploded across national news. My doorbell rang. Sarah, Nathan, and Gianna stood there with takeout bags and determined expressions. "You shouldn't be alone tonight," Sarah said, pushing past me. "I'm fine," I insisted. But Nathan was already opening wine bottles, and Gianna had started setting plates. "The board meeting went well?" Nathan asked, pouring generous glasses. "They voted unanimously to appoint me interim CEO." I picked up my glass. Apparently, my crisis management skills impressed them. And Jade? Sarah settled onto the couch, cutting a deal with prosecutors. She's offering everything she knows about Morgan's financial schemes in exchange for immunity. I laughed darkly. Turns out she kept receipts, literal ones. Gianna raised her glass. "To karma." Speaking of karma, Nathan pulled out his phone. "Morgan's preliminary hearing is tomorrow. The evidence about Dad's death is compelling." "The tea samples," I asked, "tested positive for compounds that would trigger a heart attack in someone with Dad's condition. And Morgan's fingerprints were all over the cup." My phone buzzed. Another message from an unknown number. "You've started something you can't finish. Watch your back." "Still getting threats?" Sarah peered at my screen. "Daily, but they're getting desperate." I showed them the message. "This one's probably from Morgan's old college friend who helped him set up the offshore accounts. Isaiah's team is closing in on him too." "Chelsea." Gianna set down her wine. "Are you sure you want to keep pushing? You've already won." "Have I?" I walked to the window, watching another news van pull up outside. Morgan killed his father, stole his brother's inheritance, betrayed everyone who trusted him, and nearly destroyed the company. Winning isn't enough. "Then what is?" Nathan asked quietly. "Justice. Real justice." I turned back to them. "For your father, for the employees Morgan hurt, for everyone who trusted him." Sarah's phone chimed. "Speaking of justice, Brooke just sent me this." She held up her screen, showing an email chain between Morgan and various board members. Each message revealed another layer of manipulation, another person he'd used and discarded. "Send those to Isaiah," I said. "The prosecutors will want them." "Chelsea." Nathan stood up, looking serious. "There's something else you should know. The police found more evidence in Morgan's private safe. Letters from before Dad died. He was planning everything for years. The affair with Jade, pushing me out, even..." He swallowed hard. "Even how to trigger Dad's heart condition." The room fell silent. "Good," I said finally. "Let him rot." "The media's calling you a hero," Sarah mentioned, scrolling through news articles. "The whistleblower who exposed corporate corruption and solved a murder." "I'm not a hero." I picked up the wedding photo. "I'm just someone who got tired of being lied to." "No." Gianna stood, taking the photo from me. "You're someone who fought back, who refused to be a victim. Richard would have been proud." My phone rang. Isaiah. "Chelsea, Morgan's asking to see you. Says he wants to make a deal." I put the phone on speaker. "What kind of deal?" "He'll confess to everything. The murder, the fraud, all of it. If you agree to stop digging into his past dealings." I looked at Nathan, who had lost a father. At Gianna, who had lost a husband. At Sarah, who had risked everything to help me uncover the truth. "Tell him no," I said firmly. "Tell him his father deserves better than a bargaining chip." After hanging up, I raised my glass. "To Richard Turner, the man whose death taught his son's wife how to fight back." "To Richard," they echoed. Outside, another news van arrived. Tomorrow would bring more questions, more investigations, more truth. Morgan thought he could silence me with threats and deals. Instead, he taught me the most valuable lesson of all. Some people learn from karma. Some chase it. Me, I became it, and I wasn't finished yet.